Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. We're here to look at Universal Robots and talk about Expansion I/O. So if you're familiar with Universal Robots, you'll know that on board the controller we have 10 inputs, 10 outputs, 4 analog inputs and 2 analog outputs. And for most applications that's all that you're going to ever need. But in a lot of advanced applications where you've got multiple machines or a bunch of different devices, you're going to need some Expansion I/O. And so what we're going to look at today is how you can use the onboard Ethernet TCP over Modbus to talk to a remote I/O block such as the Wago one that we're going to look at today. Alright, so on the hardware front, we're going to need a few things. We've got Wago I/O here with a Modbus Ethernet Coupler and then some slices of inputs and outputs. We've got a 24-volt supply to run this. And then we've got UR5 Universal Robots along with a controller, which we're going to use the Ethernet on that to actually run this up. Alright, so now we're at the main screen of the robot. And we're going to head into Program Robot and the installation and then select Modbus. At this point, we can add a new node and then enter the IP address that corresponds to the Wago Ethernet Coupler, which I already know based on the rotary dials in the unit. I'll add a new input and select Digital Input from the drop-down menu. The default address of 0 is where the input addresses start. I've also given it a name of Wago in 1 so that I know what input I'm referring to later on. I'll then add a new line and select Digital Output instead this time. However, the addresses for the output start at 512, so that's where we'll start for this one. I'll also give it a name of Wago Out 1. Now that we've set up the I/O on the robot controller, we can connect the Ethernet cable between the two units. We'll get a link active LED on the Wago unit. I've got a switch connected to input 1 on the Wago unit, so now I can see by toggling it back and forth that I'm able to change the state of the Modbus input I created. Likewise, if I toggle the output from the Universal Robots pendant, I can see the output LED on the Wago I/O change. Alright, so now that we got everything communicating back and forth between the Wago unit and the robot controller, we can actually go ahead and test out a program that I created where we're going to wait for this input to turn on before the robot actually starts running the program. So if I go ahead and toggle that input, you can see the robot goes ahead and moves, and then when it finishes, I've had it set an output on the Wago unit as well, just to verify that everything's working here. And so you can see it's on now, and if I go ahead and toggle that again, the robot will move. So it's just nice to see everything's connected and communicating. So thanks for joining us. Appreciate you tuning in, and hopefully you can join us again soon.